Merry Christmas! Well, it is time for us to learn how to survive the most wonderful time of the year. That's right. In today's family moment, I want to talk about how we can keep our sanity during the most wonderful time of the year. Hey, thanks for joining me for today's family moment. And today, I want to talk about the obvious, the elephant in the room, the big thing that we're all dealing with, the holiday season. That's right. We're in the middle of it. Christmas is right around the corner, and I want to talk to us about our families and how we can keep sanity in the middle of schedules and parties and gift buying and delayed gift buying and all the things. In today's family moment, I just want to ask ourselves, how do we keep that moment of sanity and peace in our hearts during the madness and chaos of what is the holiday season? You know, we have to remember that while it is the most wonderful time of the year, the holiday season is also full of emotions. Some of them are great, right? Going and seeing lights or decorating the tree, traditions, expectations, anticipation. But there's also the fact that there's memories, relationships that have been lost, loved ones who've passed away. And the emotions of a season are enormous. And with weighing through all of those things, how do we as families keep our sanity, keep ourselves together during what again is the most wonderful time of the year? How do we keep it wonderful? Well, there's a few things I want to share today with you in this family moment that will help us keep our sanity. And number one is traditions. When I got married to Carmel, she brought in traditions and she held fast to those things. And one of the things that I've noticed is traditions have held us together. Now there are anticipations. They're kind of anchors that hold us during the holiday season. There are things that our kids look forward to that are almost expectations, and it doesn't quite feel like the holiday season until we've done these traditions. And when I talk about traditions, I mean, they could be all kinds of things, from who hangs a star on the tree to maybe buying a family ornament every year, opening up gifts on Christmas Eve. I don't know, you've got your traditions. Matter of fact, go ahead and post some of your Christmas traditions in the comments below. I'd love to read them. But why are we even talking about traditions? Because traditions are these things that we do regularly that remind us of family. It becomes your thing, kind of like that secret sauce in your family. And so those traditions, if you have them, are so important to hold, especially as culture and time and expectations try to pull at your traditions. Work hard to fight for them. Now, on the other end, if you don't have traditions or you don't think you have strong traditions, I would consider thinking through that as a family. What are some things that you want to do every year as a family? Do you want to tackle going into the wilderness and chopping down your own Christmas tree?
I'm okay.
Whatever your tradition might be, whatever it is, do it consistently. Why? Because again, it anchors your family, it creates your family thing, and those things become memories that hold on into the future. Another reason these traditions could be important is that when we do have changes in our lives, changes we don't anticipate, want, or expect, those traditions, while they can be painful, they also remind us of the love and the moments that we had with those people that are no longer with us. Again, I know that that can be painful, but it's also a moment that God has given us, if we've worked hard to create those memories, that remind us of that value that that person had in our lives, so that as we continue with Christmases into the future, that person stays with us through memories, and then we can pass those memories on to our children and our children's children. So when it comes to traditions, here's what I'd say is define what your traditions are. Make sure they're clear. The other thing is bring consistency. Make sure you do it every year. A tradition is not a tradition if you don't do it traditionally. Side note, I would say as your kids get older, if some of your traditions are really focused on little kids, make sure to adapt your traditions. Don't get rid of them, don't throw them out, but adapt them for your children as they get older. Now, There will be some kickback as your kids get older. They'll say,
I'm too old for this.
if you've adapted it and it's still something that the whole family truly can enjoy, fight for those traditions. Fight back against your children trying to fight against the traditions. Why? Because during those teenage years, they may think they're too old, but they'll remember and appreciate you holding on to those traditions even in their teenage years. Here's the next thing that I'd like to mention in regards to keeping our sanity during the most wonderful time of the year. Slow down. Now, here's an interesting fact. Before the advent of all our technology, when winter hit, there were some really unique things that happened to us that we just could not help. It would get darker during the day. It would get colder in the evenings. Winter hits and all of a sudden there's scarcities, and they're brought about some interesting things that you just could not fight against. One of them was darkness. So what does that mean? If it gets darker earlier, well, you can't go outside and do things. Nowadays, we can turn on Netflix, we can listen to things on Spotify, we can open up YouTube, and we can keep ourselves occupied. But there was a time that when the lights went out, there was nothing else to do. What did that cause? It caused us to slow down. With today's technology, we can keep our pace going and not stop and not recognize those around us. During the wintertime, nature by itself, the way God created the rhythms and times of season, forced us to slow down because it was dark and there was nothing else to do. The second thing that happened was it got cold. Well, what happens when you get cold? Again, nowadays we just put on more clothes.
I can't put my arms down.
But there is something about the warmth of community, right? During the wintertime, in times past, we would have to slow down and get together. One of the reasons was just to utilize each other's warmth. There's a principle there, though, isn't there? The idea of the warmth we can have when we're gathered together with intentionality. Having slowed down, other distractions have been removed, and now we're in the same space, occupying it at the same time, trying to keep each other warm. With the affections, with conversation, with intentionality. Have we lost the warmth we once had towards each other? Maybe so, but maybe we not only slow down, but we also gather close. The third observation I have that happened naturally in wintertime before the advent of our technology was the lack of resources. Now, nobody likes lack, but you have to recognize the fact that when you lack something, you sure do appreciate what you have in front of you so much more. So appreciation is the thing that I pull away from this. What if during this time of year, we take some of the natural rhythms of life, eliminate some of the distractions, we slow down, we gather together, and we appreciate what is right in front of us. You know what's interesting is that moms and dads, your voice is louder than anybody else's. But if we're too busy to slow down, to appreciate each other, to give each other the warmth of our love, to recognize and value the people that are really in front of us. And when I say value, I mean to recognize, see them, and value them. Speak life into them. If we don't have the time to do that, then we're missing the greatest opportunity that God gave us, and that is parenting our children the way He intended. So the second point in keeping our sanity is to just slow down. And the third thing that I thought we could do to keep our sanity during this season is to focus on Jesus. Okay, I know. The big guy tends to take center stage sometimes in the secular world, but we are believers in Jesus, and it is our job to put Santa aside and lift up the name of Jesus. So again, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but here's some things that I think that we could do as families to help keep Jesus center stage as, again, the world is trying to pull the attention away from Jesus and into secular things such as buying and Santa and Coca-Cola. Here's a simple one. Have a nativity set. Now, I know some of you are like, Pastor Manny, we have a nativity set. Check, we're done. But let me rephrase it. Have a nativity set on purpose. Meaning that if you have a nativity set, introduce your children to the characters. If you have older children, remind your children who the characters in the Bible story are. If you have older children, ask them to tell you who each character in the nativity set is and where they might be placed in the Jesus story. Remind them. Simply having that physical representation of the reason for the season is a great way to keep you anchored and keep your sanity, because you're keeping Jesus in visual sight of the whole reason for why you're celebrating during Christmas time. The next thing I would encourage is reading the birth of Jesus through the Gospels. Now, there's two ways that we've done this in our own home. One is we read the Christmas story on Christmas morning, and you can find it in Luke chapter 2, verse 1 through 20. But here's another way that you can approach this. What if you broke the Jesus story into segments and read the story of Jesus the days leading up to Christmas Day? And on that last day, you read the whole story completely, but use it as a devotional on the days leading up to. You can break it up into a week, 2 weeks, even through the whole Advent season if you really wanted to. But at the end of the day, read it. And I don't mean read on your phone. I would encourage us to take an actual Bible, put it in front of our kids, let them see the Bible, not your phone, in your hands, so they recognize this is the Word of God. And finally, in this segment where we're talking about focusing on Jesus, the last thing I'd say is get external. What do I mean? What if you found a way to serve or give a gift away instead of receiving? One of the ways to keep our sanity is to think about somebody else other than ourselves. Now, all you moms out there, you're probably like, I'm already thinking of my family. You may not be the target of this video. Keeping our sanity is really getting the whole family to think outwardly instead of internally. And moms, dads, I think you're going to see a life change happen in your kids when you start seeing them want to love others during this time of year, not simply writing a list for themselves. So how do we keep our sanity during the most wonderful time of year? Number one, have traditions. I love traditions and they anchor us. Number two, slow down. Take the clues that God gave us through the natural rhythms of the winter season and apply them into your life. And number three, focus on Jesus. He is the reason for the season. Don't let that just be a cliche and a phrase you say. Make it an actual life rhythm. Thank you for joining us for this family moment. Be sure to check out some other family moment videos. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please tell us what you think. Write a comment, let us know. Can't wait to talk to you again soon.